Hey everyone, this is Martin, and I'm back at the studio at desk where we do the video editing for the base camp videos and the resort adventure videos. And it's been a couple of weeks since I've been here. We've been pretty busy we've got another tree house that we're in the middle of constructing right now. So that's been taking some time, and we're also putting log siding on the Marina Inn resort down here in Branson. And so I haven't gotten in here much, but we are getting closer and closer to the time where we're going to have to pull the trigger on the purchase of land for our next project. And it looks like that's coming up probably in about a week and a half now. It got slightly delayed once, but it's on track. It's going to happen. And so we've been starting to do some pretty serious research on what is the what is the land acquisition that we're going to have to make in order to do this next thing that we're doing. And what I've been finding is this is mid 2021, and the real estate market is absolutely completely berserk right now. As great as we've been selling things, I mean, the things are selling like in a day. And but as far as trying to purchase something, the trouble is, especially with a kind of a specialty deal like this, is that all of the mid-range or kind of lower price pieces of property are just being snapped up just that fast. I mean, we've identified half a dozen of them so far that would have been perfect, and but sometimes before we can even call the realtor on them, they're already sold. And we've been looking for the for sale by owners, but there's just not that much of that around, and it takes a long time to try to find it. So, I mean, if you get keyed into someone that's got one of those, it helps. But if you have to just go out and start looking for them, it's a long and tedious process. So we've been looking mostly at the multi-list and trying to get see what's out there. And we're looking at probably about a 20-mile radius around Branson, which is where we have a lot of our other things that we're doing. So I don't really want to get too much farther out from that. Although down in Arkansas, there's some really interesting properties down there that are affordable. So as we've been looking, we have to kind of start to decide what is it that we need, what is it that we want, what doesn't or isn't compatible with what we're after. And the first thing that we can kind of weed out of there as we start looking at properties is the size of acreage. I mean, that's important to us. I want to use a minimum of 5 acres as a project, as a subject property, just simply because that seems to be the one of the minimum goals that a lot of the homesteader off-gridder type of people like to work with, and they can be still very affordable. We want to go something bigger than that, but how much bigger is not all that terribly important. We've been looking at things that are 20 to 200 acres, and there's a few of those out there, and there are some really kind of interesting ones. But what we've been doing, and what you kind of have to do as you're starting to think and look ahead on a purchase like this, is one of the things that doesn't make them. There's a lot of 3 to 5 acre parcels out there, hundreds of them, as a matter of fact, and but most of them have been divided up into some kind of a subdivision, especially around the lakes here, where I mean, there's so much demand to be close to a lake or on the lake that bigger developers have bought up all of the bigger parcels that are close to the lake, and in a lot of cases they've divided them up into 3 to 5 acre parcels to sell, and those come with homeowners associations and a lot of fairly rigid restrictions. When you go to build a nice house on the lake, you want nice houses on the lake around you too. You don't want us off grid kind of people, doing projects down there. So a lot of those are just going to be kind of off limits to us. It's not going to fit what we're after, and so that's the easy thing that we can eliminate right away. And the next thing is that we've been looking at a lot of the properties, if they've ever had any kind of a house, an older house, a mobile home or something like that on them. A lot of times they already have a little certain amount of infrastructure on there. They've got electricity, and hopefully they've got a well, and and so bringing a septic system and all of that. So bringing in all of that stuff brand new isn't necessary. And so we found some that have that. We found an awful lot of just raw land that has absolutely nothing. And so, the price on that is going to be a little bit better, but then you're going to have to weigh and take into account the addition of putting in a well and putting in a septic system or a sewer plant of some kind. And, with mostly the homestead off-grid thing, a septic system is fine. Um, with some of the resort stuff, you wouldn't be able to get away with that. You would have to put in a sewer plant around here anyway, and that can be really expensive if you're going to be going very large with that. If not, you can still get by with a septic system. So, all of that comes into consideration, even running power into a place. If you've got to bring it from a very long distance, around here, the power company will bring it right up to your property line, but then you're sort of responsible for getting it into wherever you want it. And with off grid, that's maybe not that important, unless you're doing it as a off grid supplement, in case of a power failure. But if you want standard reliable power that you don't have to mess with all the time, then you've got to bring it in. So finding something that's got already something established on it is good, even if you were just to bulldoze it down or burn it down. At least some of that infrastructure is there. And so that's kind of what we're looking at. And we've looked at sort of both. And, it's going to probably come down, because we're going to have a very short window in which to purchase the property. It's going to come down to probably what's the best option available at the time, whenever we have to complete our purchase. So, and if you don't understand why I'm saying that we have this short time frame, that's a real estate thing. We're actually doing an exchange where we sell one property and have a certain amount of time to reinvest it into another property to defer some of the capital gain with it, and the tax implications. It's a thing. Don't panic when you hear that. It's a legal thing. It's you have to set it up through a third party, which we use a company out of Chicago to do those, just because they're very proficient at them. They do them all the time. So don't panic when you hear that. It's it's a thing that people do when they're selling and buying real estate. So anyway, that's the one thing I wanted to kind of get you up to speed on, is as we're doing that search, that initial search needs to, weed out the things that aren't going to be compatible, like the homeowners association, small lots in subdivisions kind of a thing. I mean, that's just got to be off limits for what we're planning to do. The other thing is taking into consideration, do we find a place that's got infrastructure on it, or do we have to install all of that ourselves? And I'm not opposed to doing either one of them. It's just you have to take those costs into account, because they can be fairly expensive. I mean, anyway, so if you are watching this, if you have not done so yet, go to the bottom of the video, hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, click it to all notifications. And then if you like what you're seeing and what you're learning here, go ahead and click the like button. Remember, subscribe and hit the notification bell to start with. That way you won't miss out on any of the videos that we do. You won't miss out on any of the updates or the experiences that we're posting up with the tree houses or the resort thing or the lake or whatever else like that. All of these things will help you, I believe, on your journey to establish an adventure lifestyle for yourself. So, until next time, do those things, and we'll see you later.